Well, hi everyone, and welcome to the virtual Cobalt Cafe. Uh, it is week number 301 of our virtual series. I'm happy to have you all here with us tonight. My name is Rick Lupert. I'm your MC. In addition to our open reading tonight, our featured reader is Aaron Tyler Hand. Aaron, very happy that you're here. And thank you so much again for cleaning up your space to give us a nice presentation in case we get distracted. We don't want to be distracted by a mess when you're reading your poems. Thank you for that. So we're going to do a little bit of our open reading first, as we typically do, and then we will have our featured reader, Aaron, and then we will have the rest of the open reading. If you would like to read in the open and you haven't already done so, please send me a message in the chat and I will be happy to add you. As always, 2 poems maximum. The suggested time limit is less is more. And that's all you need to know about that. Make sure you have the chat room open. The chat room is where you get to interact with each other since I keep the unmute locked down, as we have learned our lesson in the past about rogue Zoom bombers coming in, unmuting, and saying very distasteful things. So there you go. But you will receive an invitation to unmute when it is your time in the open reading. So keep the chat room open so you can react to what you're hearing and communicate with each other. Um, Beyond that, we do have a 1 drink minimum here at the Cobalt Cafe. Make sure that you have something to help honor that long-standing tradition. And I believe that is everything I need to tell you. So having told you everything that I need to tell you before we get going with our first reader, I would like to ask if there are any questions. Martin Parker, yes.
Yeah, Rick, I was just wondering, what is your favorite sound to listen to?
Um, My wife makes a lot of fun noises, so I think I'm going to have to go with that. And that's really actually, it's almost not fair because that's such a broad spectrum of sounds that could be happening. So if I could, adjust the question and say, what spectrum of noises do I like to listen to? It would have to be whatever is coming out of my wife's mouth, whether it's words or whatever other identifiable things might be.
Very good answer. Resonates with me.
Okay, good. Thank you, Martin. Cathabella, yes.
Rick, what new music inspires you?
That's also quite a broad spectrum because I'm always listening to new music. The latest thing that I just downloaded, or didn't download, but streamed, I guess, is what the kids are doing these days, is Robert Plant has a new album. You know, the singer from Led Zeppelin. He has actually, it might be about a year old or so at this point, but it's got Grace in the title, and it's very folky, and sing-alongable, I guess. And it's really cool to hear what he's been doing lately. So that's at the moment the
On
latest
your
thing.
mind?
Yeah.
Very interesting. So, did we sign up as a secondary question?
I have you, Siggy, and Chris.
Okay, that's good. It's possible Jackie will emerge, but she has something else going on too tonight, so she might not. But we have her. We have her with us.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic, Cathabella. Thank you so much. Next question, Ed Potastic. Hello.
Hello, our wonderful host. They love the most that deserve a toast. I have a question for you. What is your favorite Doctor Who, if that makes any Doctor Who doctor?
I wasn't sure if there would be more words to that. You sort of ended in a question there, which is very Scottish, by the way, which leads me to the answer to that question. My favorite Doctor Who is the 10th Doctor, played by Scottish actor David Tennant. Though I'm also very partial to the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, because he was my first Doctor.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, Ed, thank you. Any other question? Ooh, lots of questions tonight. Finn Bell.
Hello, Rick. So, Rick, is a spork really just a fork who has always identified as a spoon, but is always excluded from dinner invites by the spoon cousins? Or is it a spoon with fancy cutouts who secretly wishes it were a fork, but doesn't want to commit and has aversion to hard work? I know that's a long question.
It is. And I'm not going to parse it too closely. I will just tell you that all silverware is welcome at my table, no matter what its choices or preferences or desires may be.
Thanks.
Sure. Thank you, Finn. Looks like one more question from Hermione. Hello, Hermione.
Hello to everyone tonight. Rick, are you excited about your upcoming trip to Scotland, and do you plan to drive when you're there?
I'm very excited. I've been planning it every day for months, and including, adding details every day. So, and I'm, just got to the point today where I realize I'm not spending enough time in Scotland, and I haven't even gotten there yet. Yeah, it's going to be a really cool, fun trip. The parts of it that I remember, there will be a number of whiskey distilleries along the way, and it's not clear to me how much of that I'm going to remember, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Yes, and I will be driving there, not on whiskey days, just to be clear. We're driving between the city of Inverness to the Isle of Skye on the west northwest, and then from there, a couple days later, we will take the car down to Glasgow and drop it off to finish with a couple days there. I understand they drive on the other side of the road, and I'm planning, as a matter of fact, before I go in the next couple days, of taking a how to drive in Scotland class online just to be safe. Hermione, if I don't make it back, you're in charge. Just so you know. I'll send you all the info. Thank you, Hermione. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. We're going to get to the open reading now. Finn Bell, you'll be our second reader. We're going to do 5 open readers, then our featured reader, Aaron Tyler Hand, then the rest of the open reading. So, Finn, you are on deck. Please welcome our first reader, Martin Parker. Hello, Martin.
Hello again, Rick. Thank you, as always, for the space and for everybody in the room here tonight. And let me know if you get up by Rossshire, where some of my ancestors are from. I've never been up there yet. That may be a little bit out of the way, though. So, as you might have guessed, I have a poem here about listening, or a couple of them, actually. This is one I wrote recently called Listening. I listen to those who talk to the wind. Their words, they carry me to days bygone, across oceans and mountains around the worlds, from recent future to ancient dawn. Their music and poetry speak to my soul through phonemes, prosody, metaphors, and glyphs. They glimmer from pages or flow through the air, from Machu Picchu to Dover's white cliffs. I couldn't resist adding a couple titles of couple of my favorite songs in there. I Talk to the Wind and White Cliffs of Dover. So let's see here. Where am I? Okay. Then in looking up a cover to do, I found a poem called Listening by the great poet Amy Lowell, who lived from 1874 to 1925. And 1 year later, after she passed, I think was the first woman to win the Nobel Prize for Literature for her poetry. So this poem is called Listening by Amy Lowell. 'Tis you that are the music, not your song. The song is but a door which, opening wide, lets forth the pent-up melody inside. Your spirit's harmony, which clear and strong, sing but of you throughout your whole life long. Your songs, your thoughts, your doings each divide this perfect beauty, waves within a tide, or single notes amid a glorious throng. The song of earth has many different chords. Ocean has many moods and many tones, yet always ocean. In the damp spring woods, the painted trillium smiles, while crisp pine cones, autumn alone can ripen. So is this one music with 1,000 cadences. And thank you very much. And I'll put my usual links in the chat in case you want to check out my multilingual artwork, like my tiger and my wave behind me. And TDS 2026 is still available, so I'll put a link for that.
Thanks, Martin. Please do. And thanks for the cover as well. Very cool. I love the ending of that poem and appreciate the look back, the historical piece that you brought us tonight. So thank you very much for that. Thanks for being here. Round of applause for Martin Parker. On deck is Hermione. Please welcome Finn Bell. Hello, Finn.
Hello again, Rick. So 2 poems from me. One is an older one that you guys have heard before, and one is a newer one that I did with the Poetry Marathon 2026. The older one is titled Further Reflections on Not Being Pinay Enough, Pinay being a slang for Filipina. Look at me, I will never pass for a perfect bride or a perfect daughter. Can it be I'm not meant to play this part? Now I see that if I were truly to be myself, I would break my family's heart. I say, look at me, but I don't truly want you to see. I want you to superimpose a pert nose, a figure, bayabas or sampalok tree slender, and tall, not this stout, round-hugging trunk I was given. Through the salted water of the ocean, karagatan na tumitira sa tuktok ng aking ulo, blew easterly winds, benediction in my direction, naming me native daughter. Our collective colonial mentality could not spy me past the translucence found inside mestisang bangos, that also ordained my crowning glory should be the exact replica of a regal baby's buhok o malave. My pio punctuated my tropical fever initiation into a newborn life, brown nestled among brown, with the oddest premonition, seeing the sweat beads gather on my nose and making the prediction that I would marry early. But still, this did not make me the store-bought picture of domesticity. I failed at that too. Too many pots stirred while singing top 40s, the stifling heat of a stovetop, my captive audience. This still did not make me a meek and obedient daughter. I couldn't comply, Daddy. I couldn't fashion this disaster into a child who you could show off to relatives and acquaintances. This world was seducing me and waiting outside our door, and the prepackaging of this provincial life boxed me in, cellophane wrapping tight. Wrong tale, naturally. I cannot be that Disney princess either. I am not meant to play this part. Who is that girl I see? I am careful concentration as I drink in her every feature. Why does her face take shape inside my mind but step just out of reach when I try to meet her? Does anyone know this impudent woman and why she finds it so amusing to be staring straight back at me? She is me. She is not. You are lying. Why is my reflection someone I don't know? Upon my pale arms are lovely stars of my creation. Barot saya merely blur the racier edges ng katawan ko. somehow I cannot hide who I am, though I try. When will my reflection show who I am inside? Okay, sorry about that. She wanted to sing along. So the second one is titled To Whom It May Concern. Inbox unread, to whom it may concern, or rather, it's really none of your concern, so mind your own damn business. Or even, I'm only wasting my breath, so why bother? It appears I am all the things enumerated on the following list, also PFA, and it is causing outright distress, loud, obnoxious complaint, potent doses of inappropriate behavior, and overwhelming confusion. This response to who I am is in turn placing me in conditions conducive to harm. I certify that I am one, a woman, two, a woman and also queer, three, a woman who is queer and voices her opinion, four, a woman delectably queer, who speaks out when I have something that gravely needs to be addressed, but oddly unrelated to anything at all. I am pretty. Five, a succulent, outspoken, cute woman who could not predetermine or pre-engineer that I look how I look. Genetic inheritance and DNA blueprint and chromosomes and shit like that. Thanks, Mom and Daddy. I have a higher predisposition for heart disease and bad knees too. You don't hear anyone raving about those beauties. Six, a pretty okay looking woman. I'm queer. You read that correctly. Not afraid most of the time to share what's on my mind, but confounded and sadly rendered briefly mute when somebody, read, a cis het man, shares unsolicited comments about my body and my appearance. Number seven, a quite lovely and kind, but now often prickly and guarded queer human being who is trying to be tactful but feels vulnerable, who is no longer responding to your conversation when you liberally slather it and repeat offense praise of my womanly figure and all its unseen anatomy. What I am wearing, the gargantua of the lotus blossom, yellow fever, rice chasing, mail order, bride, good girl, fantasy of me. I am ignoring you. I am blocking you. A woman, this woman is queer. This woman will not fall silent when faced with injustice, but this woman is now afraid and rousing anger and indignation for rejecting your abuse. Can't you take a compliment, babe? I didn't mean anything by it. You don't have to be such a bitch. Number nine, a queer Asian woman, an anomaly in the patriarchal makeup, an aberration in society's white hot male gaze. Number 10, a woman who is Asian, queer, out loud, is a warp in the fabric, waiting to be crushed down, smoothed out, erased. Given the facts outlined above, please advise on the next steps required to resolve this matter. Include direct contact details for the appropriate representative. I am grateful for your prompt action on this matter and look forward to your response. Respectfully, XXXX, sent to trash folder.
Wow, powerful piece and really engaging there, Finn. Thank you so much for that. And your first piece, may you never be erased. Number one. Number two, the dog's going to have to sign up for its own slot on the list. So please make that clear for next time, unless you're doing a collab, which is fine, of course. Round of applause for Finn Bell. Thank you so much, Finn. On deck, Jared Campbell. Please welcome Hermione. Hello, Hermione.
Oh, can I do the share screen? Or no?
Yeah, just let me turn that on 1 second.
That was fire, Finn.
Go for it.
My first piece is in these times. In these times, I have to laugh to keep from crying. Nowadays, what was once good is bad. Poor behavior is excused and accepted. My neck hurts from shaking. my head. My next piece, slip and fall. Sometimes when we walk or run too fast, we slip, fall, and lie there days for a while until we take our time, excuse me. I'll start again, slip and fall. Sometimes when we walk or run too fast, we slip, fall, and lie there days for a while until we take our time, get up and walk a little slower with intention, thought, and clarity. Thank you. Excuse me, I'm just writing this as I go along.
No problem. Hermione, thank you so much for being here. Well done. As always, looking forward to your featured reading coming up later in the summer. And thank you so much for being here. A round of applause for Hermione.
Thank you for having me.
All right, two more readers than our featured reader, Aaron Tyler Hand, Sean Mahoney. You are on deck. Please welcome now Jared Campbell. Hello, Jared.
Hello. So we're celebrating Scotland a bit today. So I'm gonna read a poem about a memory from the one time that I've been to Scotland called The Unforgettable Evening I Ate Haggis. If you travel to Scotland, everyone asks if you plan to eat haggis. It's one of those tasks that you put on the schedule not quite from desire, but from tacit agreement that it's required. In just such a spirit, I ordered the dish in an Edinburgh restaurant 2005-ish. A few minutes, then I was faced with three heaps on a plate. They were haggis and tatties and neeps. In American dialect, tatties are taters, neeps, what Scots call our rutabagas. In contrast, for reasons I hope to make clear, there's no word for haggis in English spoke here. I took a big bright bite of the brown, shapeless stuff, and the flavor. I fear human words aren't enough to describe what I felt. It was like in a dream when I'm looking for something, and just when it seems I'm about to receive it, I wake with a start and forget what it was. But I know in my heart, if I'd gotten that thing from my dream, it would fill every emptiness I'd ever felt. Well, until that forkful of food, I thought dreams come and go. Who can say if real life can compare? Now I know. Like a sausage that rolled off of heaven's own plate, condescending to nourish and more educate me, it opened its flavors up one at a time, the richness of liver and onion sublimely contrasting with irony sweetness of heart and the mildness of lung, most ineffable part, and strong pepper, black pepper that dances on lips as the firm, chewy oats close the show. Get to grips with the symphony, label and file the delight. That wasn't the meal. That was just the first bite. In 19 AD plus 71, the USDA banned consumption of lung, so haggis cannot be procured in the States. There's a Scotland-shaped hole in my heart, and it aches. It aches when the weather is drizzlingly bad, or whenever I witness a beautiful plaid, or when haddock a-frying is heard in its sizzle, or whenever my skin is torn up by a thistle. It's cruel to discover the dish of your dreams and wake up to be told it's illegal. Redeem my error, good reader. Steer clear of my curse. Don't experiment eating abroad. Ask Uncle Sam first.
Wow, Jared, that was stellar, a lot of fun, somewhat frightening. And
Don't be scared of haggis.
well, yeah, here's the thing. I'm a vegetarian,
Oh,
so
sorry.
I will not be having proper haggis. However, I have several spots at different places in the country where I'll be having different versions of vegan or vegetarian haggis just to have sort of the experience with neeps and tatties. So, we'll see what happens after that. But that was a really enjoyable piece, and we'll see what we can do about making it legal for you here.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for being here. A round of applause for Jared Campbell. Jared, we just got him on the books for a featured reading coming up later in the year, so looking forward to that. One more reader, and then our featured reader, Aaron Tyler Hand. You are on deck. Aaron, please welcome now Sean Mahoney. Hi, Sean.
Hello, Rick. Hello, everybody. Couple of things, and this may not be accurate, but it's kind of a riddle, and it's for you, Rick. So, Doctor Who, Bill and Ted as one unit, and Underdog walk up to a telephone booth. What happens? Think on that. I have one poem. This was written like about 10 years ago after my father-in-law passed away, and it's been published, but I've never read it anywhere. So I'm just going to read the very first part of it because it's long. It's like 3.5 pages, 4 pages long. This is called A Cold Sequence. Let him know that it is okay. Assure him that you will be okay. The funeral home, the flowers, the hearse, communion can commence, the priestly fee, an APR has been set, the business of dying, the roasting of a large pig on a spit. Tell him you are fine and will be fine, and just say thank you. Tell him you are dressed in white and that his passing will be remembered as pure. Morphine at regular intervals under the whitening tongue, administered by the hospice nurse and once by the student nurse daughter. He is not in any pain. He is not coming back. It is his time, and grieving is unique and expected. It needs no explanation. His extremities begin to chill and purple slightly. Modeling is the physiological term. His breathing is assisted at this point. He has not been awake in a day and a half, and the last thing he said, as though from a deep chamber, before the sublingual morphine cooed him, was, "This is hard," to you in soft Ilocano. Did he mean the transition, or the fact of all that he cannot say? He took comfort that his daughter had acquired good men, his daughters had acquired good men, that his granddaughter had blossomed into a young woman. His other sons and daughters in Guam, Saudi Arabia, the Philippines, do not want to see their father via Skype while he lay dying. 800 for the hearse, bearing the body from the house to the funeral home, 3,000 for the funeral and cremation, another 450 for the urn. Thank you.
That's a pricey plot of Earth, or amount of Earth, I guess I would have to say. Sean, good poem. Thank you so much.
Dying is expensive.
Yeah. I'm saving up for it.
So am I. Do we have an
We're-
answer for the riddle?
Yeah, I think what happens is it was the Dr. Bill and Ted an underdog?
Yeah.
The doctor says this is clearly a cheap knockoff. Bill and Ted say excellent. Underdog says, I'm not sure that's how you intonate underdog. Underdog, that's just how we do it in my part of the world. Says there's no need to fear. They all try to get in at once, and a time paradox is created. And they accidentally create this strange vortex and emerge 5 minutes earlier, just in time to walk up to the phone booth again, and the whole thing just goes on and on over and over.
That's kind of crazy.
Well, you asked.
I did do that. I'm terribly sorry. Oh, one last thing. The mustache is gone because I finally made the video. I posted a link for it, and there you go. Thank you.
Sure. Well, good. That's a huge relief for all of us.
Me as well. I was getting tired of it.
Sean, thanks for being here. Great work tonight. Round of applause for Sean Mahoney. On deck after our featured reader will be Ed Potastic, which leads us now to our featured reader, Aaron Tyler Hand. So, as many of you know, every morning, as an excuse to not get out of bed right away, I read all the poem email lists that come in the morning, starting my day off with poetry. And one day, a few months ago, a poem from Aaron Tyler Hand came, courtesy of poets.org. It was a poem with the title Self Portrait as a Combination Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, KFC. So already, without having read the poem, I pretty much knew I need to book whoever this is to read at the Cobalt. That was enough for me. On top of which, the poem was a lot of fun. But that's how Aaron got on my radar. Aaron, thank you so much for that poem. Aaron is a Portland-based poet with an MFA in creative writing from Texas State University. His first book of poems is called Flood Chaser, and it was the winner of the 2025 Catamaran Poetry Prize. Congratulations on that, Aaron, and it's available from Catamaran Literary Reader. We're going to post a link to that later. Aaron's poems have appeared in anthologies Attached to the Living World, a new echo poetry anthology, and and Texas Being a State of Poems, which is a really intriguing title for an anthology. I'm kind of wondering what that's about. You can hear Aaron talk about poetry on the Personhood Project podcast and keep tabs on his future publications at aarontylerhand.com. I'll post that link as well. Aaron, really excited that you're here. Keep Cobalt weird. Here comes Aaron Hand.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here, for reaching out, for reading my weird poem and connecting with it. And thank you to Martin, Finn, Hermione, Sean, Jared for reading. You all had amazing poems, and I feel lucky to be reading with you all tonight. Um, I do feel like I should probably start with the poem you mentioned. But before I do, I'm just going to talk about my book real quick. So this is my debut poetry collection, Flood Chaser, which you can kind of see, but not really. Um, and this was, accumulation of poems over many years that finally came together after my MFA program ended in 2023. And, the book itself has kind of two dueling narratives. One is these contemporary set of poems kind of set in our modern world, and the other set is poems from the perspective of Noah and his three sons while before they're on the ark, while on the ark, and then after the ark in the new world. And then the poems kind of reflect each other. So that's broken down into three sections, and the contemporary poems reflect into the Noah poems in all three sections. So um, I just like to say that just as a heads up, just so you can kind of keep things in mind as I bounce through all these poems. But I am going to start with the uh, poem that Rick mentioned, Self-Portrait as Combination Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, KFC. Although this version from the publication on Poem a Day to what it made into the book is a little different. I edited some things, so it'll even be new for Rick here. So Self-Portrait as Combination Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, KFC. And yet none of the options feel quite right. So maybe I should call it self-portrait as idling in a drive-through with your friends, crammed across the sunken bench seat, avoiding the glow of the check engine light with black tape, pressed with a precision unseen anywhere else in their lives, as a fractured voice says, "Don't worry, take your time, order whenever you're ready." From behind a menu, backlit like the window inside of a confessional booth, as the hands of the driver open like a collection basket for the wadded up bills and loose change that slowly stack up as the years go by. And I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be in this analogy, but I know about masking warning signs and hearing out of tune voices scream, "We're the kids who feel like dead ends." So instead, I call it self-portrait as from under the cork tree, or maybe even self-portrait as whatever album people listen to when they love their friends and still want to feel connected to the grass walls of a teenage wasteland that they can't help but run away from. The first section in Flood Chaser in the contemporary poems is kind of, I think about it as the beginning, similar to what the Noah story is. So in the beginning, you have someone building an ark and before a journey. So in this section, this is kind of like a growing up, preparing to leave a hometown. So you see a lot of adolescence, you see a lot of growth, and you see a lot of someone aching to leave a suburban place. This next poem is called Don't Hold Your Breath because You'll Only Make Things Worse. And similar to Martin, both of the last poem and this poem are connected to music and have lyrics woven within them. So I like how that ended up working out. Don't hold your breath because you'll only make things worse. Like she was caught in an unexpected downpour, walking toward the front door of the only Planned Parenthood in our suburb. I sat in an overly oxidized Isuzu rodeo, letting my lungs sigh as you got this silly way of keeping me on the edge of my seat, gushed through ruptured speakers, and we only listened to tell all your friends when winter removed the gray shroud it annually draped over the heartland, because that's the album you put on when you're ready to scream innocence back into your life, like all of the kids on the playground across from the parking lot who asked to be pushed higher and higher on a swing that hangs around a giraffe's neck like an albatross, carrying more weight in its playful back and forth sway than any of us could ever handle. The next few poems I'm going to read are from kind of the leaving section, so they're inspired a lot of when I was away from home. I born and raised in Missouri. I left for studying abroad when I was in college. As soon as I was done with college, I moved away from Missouri, and I've spent a lot of time traveling. So a lot of these poems are kind of inspired by my time traveling. This one comes from time in the UK, which I feel is fitting with all of the talks about Scotland and we've had tonight. This poem is called I Miss Home Again, and I Think It's a Sin. Manchester feels so ancient to me as I stumble over snaggletooth streets, each red brick forged in a fire older than any place I've called home. But today I saw a church with no roof, I-beam straight down the center, no shingles to shelter as moss prays across pews that only know rot. It felt strangely US American to me, like a white Jesus blasting Skinnerd, doing donuts in his T-top IROC Z, collecting sacraments of rust. Back home, our buildings crumble to skeletons younger than me, in asphalt parking lots that crack open like a book of Psalms. Tear down, pave, rebuild, repeat. A downfall no angel watches over. This next one was also inspired by time being in Manchester. It's called She Carries the Motion in Her Bones. Dear Mom, today, back pressed against the grass, I laid with the first letter Demeter sent Persephone in her new home. It read, in your place, there is ultraviolet, purple haze, mystic nightshade, not like the colors, but like shadows, a river slowly swelling a new bend, or the way absence now fills the etched lines in the wood that count the days you've been gone. So far away, I see that you too came from dirt, but not because you grew up poor, Pentecostal father speaking in tongues as you pick the last, least painful switch from a lifeless tree. I'm saying the holes you dig now that I'm gone are not taking you closer to your grave, No, they are the empty space you need to return to your solitude. I'm saying you put your worn out hands in the ground and callous clay begged to be reborn to rich soil, one from which I would rush to bloom. I'm going to switch and read a few of the poems from the Noah section. So these four poems are that I'm going to be reading are set when Noah and his family is on the ark, and how the poems are work in this section. It's kind of like diary entries is what I kind of call them from Noah and his four sons. So I'm going to read poems from one of each of them. So one from Noah, one from his son Japheth, one from Ham, and one from Shem. And the idea is just to, the idea for this section of the book came during COVID, and I just thought about the isolation that COVID brought to a lot of people and how we were so far away from everyone and everything outside of our walls was crumbling. And I thought of like, what's the most extreme version of that? And I thought of Noah's Ark. And then I didn't really grow up religious or anything, but I went and like read the story of Noah, and there's like nothing there. You get him before you it says he was on the boat, then he says he's off the boat. And I just thought about like what would life be like for a whole year on the boat with your family, taking care of two of every animal in the world. Like I know what it felt like for me to be isolated during COVID, but I can only imagine if I had all the weight of taking care of two of every animal and knowing that the whole world had died. It was hard enough knowing that like a few family members and thousands of people around the world had died or tens of thousands, let alone the entire population. So as you'll see, the poems are numbered like days on the boat. So the first one I'm reading is day 7. My hope is that you can kind of see how people's mind and like thoughts change from the beginning to the end of the journey. All of that said, let me dive in here. So the first one is Japheth, day 7. At first, I thought thunder, offbeat tambourine thumps walloping the outside walls as the sky slivered and God made good on the words he told my father. Then I thought sea swells, each wave a cat's paw batting our buoyant barge like a roach stuck on its back. But one night, when the wrestling animals were startlingly quiet, I placed my ear to a wall and heard a heartbeat of fists give way to whispered requests for rescue. Pulling away, I blew out the light that hovered above the candle's tip. Noah, day 21. At night, I hear nothing but the screaming peacock 2 floors down below me as he fails to feather attention from the peahen. At night, when my wife is asleep, I creep down the stairs and watch the iridescent eye spots shimmering through the darkened hole and pretend that I'm staring at the night sky, each feather silently vibrating until it forms its own small galaxy. At night, I dream of becoming a star. So now we're going further into the journey. So now we have Shem, day 302. The Lynx didn't ask for our devotion, but we sang hymns and strummed their ribs like instruments. I understand the weight. I've placed each shadow on a scale and have done so many times. Everything is heavier when it floats. The grizzly, the tallow, the cries of a newborn. It doesn't take an olive branch to know the earth has dried up. Just look at my crooked shadow. Ham, day 333. I held Canaan out the window. Let the sun bless the freshness of his skin. He kicked his legs through the swamp reek and looked out over an earth exfoliated to the white of its eyes. I wish I had his emptiness, one that doesn't miss the sylvan song of swirling leaves, one that doesn't see a whale's rib cage as just another cage, one that doesn't know abandonment. Someone once told me that it's hard to imagine a paradise beyond what the hand breaks. That person is now dead. For so long, the darkness at the bottom of the ocean held the answers. For so long, I wanted to escape. I wanted to swim down and breathe them in. Now drained, I let my brothers beat on the ship's door while I hold my son and reckon with what it means to be a martyr. Just like the kind of the Noah story, you come back to a land that's changed, and that's kind of what happens in the third section of Flood Chaser. So, in the contemporary poems, we see the protagonist kind of, or the speaker of the poem, kind of come back and reflect on what's changed. Someone who leaves home at a young age and is gone for a really long time, like what changes when they come back home. Um, so here is a poem called Grief Duplex, and it's written in a duplex form, which is one of my most fun poetic forms to play with. This isn't about missing my grandma's funeral. On graves, we leave plants not worth tending. On her grave is a plant worth tending because I refuse to grow numb to this loss. Because I refuse to grow numb to this loss, my communication with God is stormy. I only talk to God when it's stormy. We break bottles on rain-drenched cinder blocks. Among the glass and sun-drenched cinder blocks, the caterpillar inch the concrete. With so few caterpillars and so much concrete, there is a reason tulips look like clenched fists. The reason tulips look like clenched fists. I've yet to write about so many missed funerals. This poem's called Elegy Written in a Suburban Cemetery 2. There's another poem in earlier in the book called Elegy Written in a Suburban Cemetery. So this one's kind of like a call and response to that one a little bit. At the corner of Morning Star and Primrose Lane, Mary has been standing like a T so long that the sun has licked the paint from her skin. It's a miracle, the way a rust of lichen hasn't mourned across the stretch of her bleached body, or the way leaves leap toward the hug of her arms as the wind drains the salt from her asteroid eyes. On this visit, the grass is green and has no problem sharing the secrets left to it by the rain. I listen to hear what it knows about resurrection. Somewhere in the distance, a cough blooms through the trees. Somewhere in the distance, a disembodied voice asks, "Where have you been?" Somewhere in the distance, an alarm goes unnoticed by anyone else. In the next plot over, one aching headstone reads, "I was called to this clay, Christ," while another, eaten away by time, weeps, "God, I heard the dead saith, follow." And once again, I find myself grieving the wearing away of rock and not what lies beneath. How much time am I at? Sorry, I totally meant to look when I started and I completely forgot.
I didn't look each either, Aaron, so go with your heart.
All right. So the last Noah section is from the point of view of Ham. For people who don't know the story of Noah, Ham is kind of the outcast son. He's the one who gets like forced out of the family. So I wrote the last section from his perspective. Um, and it's written as an abecedarian. So an abecedarian is each line of a poem is usually like in alphabetical order. So like A and then B and then C. For this poem, I did it in reverse. So it goes like from Z all the way to A. And to complicate things even more, it's kind of written in a crown of sonnets. So there's 7 sonnets, and each sonnet has its own like 3 letters of the alphabet. So the first poem is Z, Y, W, and then so forth. So I'm going to read a few of those poems just so you can kind of get the feel of Ham's point of view in the New World as the outcast, and you'll see kind of my sympathies for him. So this poem is called Ham in the New World. Zest of life, zest of the sun glisten, zest of the urchin encrusted sycamores, zigzagging animals cry out in a common language. Zinc colored clay convulses to life in their stampede. You, the destruction, you, the painful voice of the snapping twig, you, the gatekeeper of light, you, the bearer of keys. You showed them a rainbow and they ran. Who wouldn't be afraid of the red of bedbug bites, the orange upchuck, the yellow piss stench, the green mold shadowing every inch of the ship, the blue haunting memory of sky, and the bruises that purple beneath the whip? When you said to my father, go forth, is this what you were summoning? Withdrawal couldn't help but run wild through their veins. What did you expect them to do with all of this emptiness? Vines mapped out a geography of sorrow in the decay that havocked from your voice. Vacancy strangled the branches that supported the chartreuse tendrils once wrapped in desperation. Vanished was the forest, the hunter, the moss, the mint. Vibrancy hung from its heels as color drained from the slit in its throat. Unrecognizable, unending, unworthy of such loss. Uneasily, we unloaded the ship, one moldy container at a time. Under the decay of an oak, we took inventory of what remained. Tools, trunks with urns of olive oil, jars of satar, and dishes of dehydrated beans. Totes bursting with tangled wool, wishing to be spun. Tucked into one watertight container were seeds of buckwheat, corn, arugula, Campari, and grapes. And in another, unlabeled spores waited to be identified. The rest we burned. Smoke sighed from the smoldering altar, so Shem tossed another log onto the fire. Searing flames arose and prayed closer to the heavens. Slumped in drunkenness, my father let falling ambers kiss his fingertips like frostbite. Slowly from this ash, from all of the ash, we rebuilt. Rarely did we sleep. Rows needed to be tilled, russets needed to be planted, so life could be breathed back into the land. Relief came when the first bud cracked its neck through the dirt. Reticent, I watched my family create a covenant with you instead of begging forgiveness from the fields. Quietly, I prayed over each unburied bone. Quietly, I spread soil over them again. Quietly, I bit my tongue, pulling blood like a conjured curse. Plasma made a flood of my mouth. Past and present held hands around each other's throats. I'm going to stop there, and then hopefully y'all can pick up and finish that Crown of Sonnets on your own.
Aaron, very cool. Thank you so much. As someone who writes after the text in the Old Testament every single week, it's really cool to hear new takes on Noah. Very few people can rattle off Noah's son's name just as a matter of fact, introducing a poem. So it's kind of impressive. Um, yeah, when you were introducing one of your poems, you said a lot of my poems come from time traveling. The way you intonated that also fit into what was talked about earlier, and I thought that was really cool, even though I know you were not exactly meaning that, but that was cool. That having been said, I love that you drew connections and what you were talking about to what you heard earlier means a lot for someone to come into the community and, demonstrate that they've been listening and that they're a part of it. And, I think that was really cool. Um, at night, I dream of becoming a star. There's a reason. Tulips look like clenched fists. Just a couple of really fantastic lines that you gave to us. Really great to hear your work tonight, and I really appreciate you sharing it with us. I'm going to paste some stuff in the chat and share the screen to show the broadside I made for the poem that you sent. Um, there it is. This is a whole other poem from Aaron Tyler Hand. You can download this 11 by 17 file, print, whatever, at the Cobalt Poets website. I pasted the link in the chat room that goes to the broadsides page so you can get this one. This is broadside number 713. So there's this one and 712 others you can grab there if you would like. And I hope you'll consider tipping Aaron for his reading. Aaron's Venmo ID is there in the chat. That is the virtual passing of the hat, just like at an in-person reading after the featured person reads. So please tip our featured reader via Venmo for his reading tonight. There's a link also to catamaranliteraryreader.com where Aaron's book Flood Chaser is. That's another great way to tip a poet by getting their book. And finally, Aaron's website. Looks like I have an extra HTTPS in there. So be aware of that if you try to click on that. Is aarontylerhand.com. So definitely keep in touch with them. And Aaron, I really dug that. And I hope that we're on the same coast. Some people come from people I invite who aren't part of the regular part of the community, who on different coasts. If the time zone thing is challenging, so we're in the same time zone. You could come back any week you want, just drop a new poem in the open reading if you wanted. And so please consider doing that if whether or not you've cleaned up the room behind you. That would be really cool. Thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate you having me. And yeah, I feel like this seems like such a really cool, tight-knit community here, and I felt so welcomed into it, and I appreciate you all, and I would love to come back sometime. And yeah, it works out perfect for being on the West Coast here. So yeah, not too late. The sun's still shining because we're in the summer, so everything's great. Yeah. Again, thank you all for listening and any kind of support. And yeah, I'm happy that this and so many communities exist for poets. It's such an important thing for poets to have community. It's so easy to fall off of writing without having a community to share with. So I'm glad this space exists.
Thank you. Yeah. Our space is your space. And I think you keyed in on the whole raison d'etre of Cobalt Poets. So thank you for that. And thank you again for being here. You're welcome anytime. It's a tight-knit community, and you're welcome to be one of the knits. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
love
don't know if
to.
that's the right word, but you know what I mean. Round of applause for our featured reader, Aaron Hand. Thank you so much, Aaron. So before we get to the rest of tonight's open reading, reminder, the next 2 weeks, I'm off the continent. Actually, we have a couple continents represented here tonight. So I'm not going to be on either one of them. I'm going to the European continent and to visit Scotland. So the next 2 weeks, there will be no Cobalt Poets reading. But just so you know, we will be back on July 7th with featured reader Laura Cresté. Laura has a new book out, and we're going to be hearing from her on July 7th. So that leads us to the rest of tonight's open reading. Here's who I have on the list. Ed Potastic, The Collab, Cathabella, Siggy, and Chris, Bill Gaines, Jennifer Elise Wang, and Melody Anderson Bermudez, and me. If anyone else is here who would like to read, who didn't let me know, feel free to send me a message in the chat. I'll be happy to add you. As a reminder, 2 poems maximum. Less is more is the suggested time limit. Cathabella, Siggy, and Chris, you're on deck. Please welcome Ed Potastic.
Thank you for making me feel fantastic. Thank you for being bombastic. And thank you for being so enthusiastic and safe travels. Thank you for wonderful host that we love the most that goes coast to coast. And Aaron, that was a great feature. Please come back with words in stacks. All right, my name is Ed Potastic, Fluent and Fantastic. Please in time could join my rhyme, Fabulous Sublime. I got 2 poems, so I'll take too much time. This first poem called Brutus Podcast. The light slowly creeps, the alarm clock beeps. Hope everyone slept well. Hope your minds are a bell. Welcome to the Daylight Express. We have a special guest. Can I completely confess? I just got a nod for yes. You look nice. Wait, you improvise. I just realized we are televised. Could I ask you some questions? How do you get to this destination? No, you don't talk about you. What am I going to do? Can I ask about your work? No, you don't want to hurt. Can I ask about your childhood? No, you don't want to be misunderstood. Can I ask about your creativity? No, you aren't from this reality. Can I ask about your favorite food? No, I'm not coming across as rude. Can I ask about your parents? No, you don't want to be seen as defiant. Can I ask, how was your day? No, but what more can I say? You're wasting my precious time. I didn't know questions were a crime. We planned and talked about this. Yes, I reread your complex list. I know I say this and do that. I don't have it all under my hat. Can I ask you a question for once? Why do you act like a dunce? My fans want to know about you. What's your definition of a breakthrough? You can pretend to be a star, but it's not going to take you far. You can pretend to be a different being, but your ego will break the ceiling. You can pretend to be important, but you're coming across as arrogant. Can you stop being one-dimensional? Be less mechanical, but more emotional. Please be in the present, here and now. Make us say, no way, how, and wow. Thank you. The second one's called Nestle Doll. Oh, Barbie, you love to party. You leave my heart party. You popped into my life. You're my daily delight. The wax covered your face. You had a very unique grace. You had wonderful nails. You put me under your spell. You had a great figure. Your perfume still lingers. You had vivid dresses. You make plenty of messes. You had excellent makeup. You were the belle of the club. You had polished skin. Your features had no end. You had cute shoes. You adore your views. You had nylon hair. You never ever share. I was just happy you're mine, but you had a plastic mind. You wanted more and more. You wanted the toy store. After I felt like Pinocchio. My humanity implodes. My doll is never coming back. My life won't be pitch black. Don't judge a book by its cover. Every cloud has its thunder. I gave her labels after labels, yet I'm under the table. Love isn't about take, take. Where is your slice of cake? Love is a big, beautiful cycle. It's part of everyone's survival. Love isn't a one-way street. Love isn't a road of deceit. Love is a majestic ship. That's why it's called a relationship. What happens if you're single? Get lost in life's universal jingle. You're the pinnacle of your happiness. In every darkness, there's still bliss. Thank you.
Ed, thank you. Solid advice from you tonight. Thank you so much. You might not have noticed in the chat when you were reading, it was suggested that during your first poem, you might be using your Barry White voice. We didn't even know you had that, but that was pretty cool. Can't get enough of your poetastic, I guess is what we're all saying here. Thanks for being here. Round of applause for Ed Poetastic. On deck, Bill Gaines. Please welcome the collab Cathabella, Siggy, and Chris. Hello to all of you.
Thank you, Rick. And we have our other Rick too to accompany us. I'm going to share screen. Oh, I guess it needs to be turned on again. Yeah. Okay. And here we are. So our inspiration comes all the way from Japan, and Kazuaki, who's inspired the first section here, he will come on July 7th. He says he really misses coming. He was a feature here. Rick had him as a feature, and he lives in Japan. He's an amazing person and poet. And he is in the Flower Hat Club. So you can imagine what that will look like when we're all together. Okay, this is Kazuaki. New music. There is always only one day left with bush warblers at dawn and taken away from us at dusk. Kazuaki. Chris.
From village to village, can you hear the slight variations in the Ugrisu song?
Perfect, Rick. So Chris is in Japan also, and she's using the word ugrisu, which is how they say bush warbler in Japan, right, Chris?
Yep.
This one is Cathabella, and she didn't even put her name on it. Okay, Cathabella. Where are you? Okay, all of us, five-liner bush warblers in flower hats, just for today, whistle and chirp, looking up at Mount Fuji. Siggy.
Nature's rhythm. Signs of migration start. Heading south with instinct to guide them. Butterfly lovers watch resting spots.
Shall I read Jackie?
Oh, please. And Jackie
Okay.
can't be here. She had something special. She thought she might not get back in time, but she's such a wonderful part. Yes, thank you, Chris.
The shadow of a bush warbler. How brief our encounter on a common branch.
That's like right now. Kazuaki, I miss a red-faced fool of well-built physique. She went the uphill up and down, back and forth, grinning all day, every day. Kazuaki.
Smiling, humming, up small slopes and mountains, pushing my bicycle just for the heart-stopping rush of a downhill wind.
That's a
Typo
wonderful.
there.
I love that one. Now I laugh and sing simultaneously, skipping uphill with my roadrunner, woodpecker, mockingbird, beep, beep. Capabella. Siggy.
I watch and wonder. A pedestrian walks up and down the street before me. Waves, laughs, and smiles. Speed training for a walkathon.
Panting all the way up the hilly street, the sun is grinning with a red face.
Great. And there's Kazuaki, the 10-string guitarist, makes music with notes of discord, which connect to somewhere in the universe. I've learned to love new music improvisation, dream songs as yet unwritten on instruments still being born. Siggy. Siggy. Is she there?
Did we lose her?
I don't know. Maybe it's because I didn't have the I on her name. I think you better read it, Chris.
Okay, just a
Okay, I
sec.
got it.
Oh,
Maybe
good,
Okay.
good.
I had a cyber blurb here. Marching school band wakes sleeping dogs and cats. No one on pitch. Could be a tribute to teacher who found a new sugar daddy.
And Jackie.
The notes of the saxophonist, disconnected like pearls unstrung, strike a chord with me.
I love that. Every time I read it, I find something new, like the fact that chord is spelled differently, but the pearls being unstrung and striking a chord. That's beautiful. So read it one more time, Chris.
The note of the saxophonist, disconnected like pearls unstrung, strike a chord with me.
Beautiful. Okay, and here's Rick with his flute. Is it Scottish?
I'm playing a Baroque flute replica. The maker of this Baroque flute is Scottish, and if you won't be able to see at all, but the key is engraved, the one key on a Baroque flute, and in the middle of the square part there is a thistle.
A thistle?
A
The
thistle.
Scottish theme for tonight.
Is it a symbol?
That Scotland is full of thistles.
Yeah.
Isn't that right? Do I have that
Yes.
right?
That's the haggis of flutes.
Exactly.
Rick, thank you so much for thematically joining into the Scotland theme, and thank you, Cathabella, Siggy,
Chris.
and Chris for banding together to share your work and the work of the other folks who aren't here. Always cool. That's great that Kazuaki will come back on July 7th. Looking forward to seeing him and what hat he might be wearing as well. Thank you guys very much. Round of applause for the collab.
Thank you, Rick. Really great.
All right, moving on. Jennifer Elise Wang, you are on deck. Please welcome now Bill Gaines. Hello, Bill.
Hello, hi everybody. I have two short ones tonight, and it is the closest I think that I can come to a haggis theme, but it's not very. But anyway, here it goes. It's called Liver Garage. Drain the bile into a tin pan, spit that protein out, and put it in your pocket for later. Your spray bottle of cholesterol's under the sink. Make sure the coffee's fresh when you get here. This is a liver garage, and we can't have our people fucking up. End of piece. Next poem. Pool full of pudding. Nobody fears vanilla, but it'll sting your eyes, that's for damn sure. If you're suffocating, it's your own fault. You could spend all day suspended in there if you didn't have so many needs, but time is not the cure for anger, and it's hard to swim with clenched fists. End of piece.
More sage advice, Bill. You're just not going to get anywhere angrily swimming with fists. So well done. Thank you for the liver-themed poem to connect with our Scotland theme. Very cool. Thanks so much for being here tonight.
Thank you.
All right, round of applause for Bill Gaines. Thank you, Bill. I've got two more readers and then me to close out the open reading. If I missed anyone, let me know. Melody, you are on deck. Please welcome Jennifer Elise Wang. Hello, Jennifer.
Hey, so in honor of Aaron's poem, I thought I would share a piece of mine that mentions Taco Bell. For those of you who don't know, there's a magazine called Taco Bell Quarterly, and it's been my like goal to write something for it and hopefully get published. So I wound up creating this part poem, part fiction, part nonfiction. Like I call this my queer real life fan fiction. So this is, what if we made up at the Taco Bell in Tokyo? What if we broke up in front of KFC like Gojo and Gato? I'd be the villain because you have those pretty blue eyes, and I'm ready to destroy this friendship and the dream we shared by quoting Chapel Roan. Instead of Shinjuku, we're in Bunkyo near Tokyo Dome, where we would meet up every year since we chased our dreams of living in Japan and found jobs as English teachers on opposite ends of the country. Back then, it was a Moss burger, and we were so excited because we always wanted to know how Japan made burgers. It was enough of a reminder of America to soothe our homesick spirits, but the portions were reasonable. We kept meeting there every summer in hopes our favorite band would play Tokyo Dome, but since they hadn't yet, we'd catch another band with members we'd fantasize about marrying or even just hooking up with after catching up at Moss Burger. What if we had met up with some KFC every year in the winter too? One of us would travel 500 kilometers to visit while the other bought KFC and cake, as per Japanese tradition, except we're not lovers, just two expat friends desiring for company on Christmas. But as the years passed, you stopped talking about your rock star crushes and started giving reasons to not meet. You're going back to America to see your family. The travel time and costs were getting to be too much. You're spending Christmas with some other friends or only one friend. Maybe because I was further north, but December became so cold. What if we reunited 14 years later when I found the resolve to fly back to Japan? Our favorite band finally got a gig at Tokyo Dome and was then going to break up, so I figured it was time. The Moss Burger was now a Taco Bell, which made me wonder about westernization and whether I could introduce your Japanese husband to a chalupa like I did with my Taiwanese grandparents. I'll pay for your meals and add in some churros because I bet you miss them, and I'm sorry for being the bad guy, especially since I see how you split yourself in two between unacknowledged feelings from the past and the present life you've made with your husband. What if we had yet to meet IRL? We only realized we could take our friendship beyond live journal and DMs when you mentioned being at the same anime convention I was at, and we learned we grew up only 40 miles apart. You wanted to make Valentine's for our favorite band who brought us together in the vast cyberspace, and I suggested that we grab a bite at the KF Taco Hut in between our parents' houses. Then we talked about what we do after graduation, and it only made sense to apply to teach English in Japan. We were two Texas gals who loved Japanese things and boys, and girls, I would silently add while sipping my Baja Blast. And so to answer Jared's question, so that part is real. The favorite band that broke up, they played Tokyo Dome, or actually it was a venue next to Tokyo Dome. It was called Alice 9. And I did reunite with a friend. So the friend is real. The events were not.
Cool. Just the one piece, Jen?
Yes.
All right. Nice. Well, as you know, I always appreciate when you jump in on a theme, that's really cool. Nice to see you here in this space as always. Thanks so much. Round of applause for Jennifer Elise Wang.
Thank you.
All right, cool. I'm on deck to close out the open reading. Please welcome now Melody Anderson Bromedes. Hello, Melody.
Hi, everybody. This is called The Little Teddy Bear. The little bear, the little brown bear, the little brown teddy bear was caught deep in the rosemary bush. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Until I pulled the little brown teddy bear out, I didn't know what it was. The teddy bear was caught deep in the rosemary bush, covered with dirt and broken leaves. Whose teddy bear is this, I wondered, and how did it get deep in the rosemary bush? The little teddy bear with a silver ear and silver foot in the right side, and with a red ear and a red foot on the left side, smelled of the aroma of the roseberry bush. Two deep black eyes were small round pegs, like buttons. The teddy bear's smile was affixed on a ribbon sat below its face. Whose teddy bear? I wondered again, deciding that this teddy bear would be mine, all mine. I placed the little teddy bear, gently in the arm of my big gray sweatshirt. I was afraid someone would see it because the teddy bear was all dirty in leaves, covered with leaves. Upon glancing at it, one could not see what it was and may perhaps decide to throw it amongst the green trash can of leaves or the gray trash can of trash. This is a perfectly good bear, a teddy bear, like the cement red frog that I dug out of the backyard on another day of adventure. These are treasures, I taught my baby girl, Sophia, 5, showing how treasures could be collected from the sidewalk, but not the neighbor's front yard. A treasure sitting between the front yard and the sidewalk could be safely garnered and could be put in our bag of treasures, which we take home and clean up. One day, Sophia garnered a brown plastic ark that I knew only by the collection of animals, cows, horses, zebras, and others, walking side by side, 2 by 2, like Noah described in the Bible, the Old Testament. I recalled the story from my Sunday school class and the replays of the Noah's Ark story that our Sunday school class enacted many a Sunday with our small plastic animals. 2 animals would do, 1 animal never. 3 animals only when we tossed out 1 animal. Noah, with the long gray beard, led the parade of animals going into the ark. Whether Sophia knew the story or not, within minutes she directed Noah to lead the few small animals, the treasures she had found on the sidewalk, for which the small plastic animals, 1 stegosaurus and 1 triceratops. Where did they come from? To walk up the ark, to find a good spot in the ark, a good spot where the few small animals could overlook the ark, to see the animals following them, led by Noah. Genesis 6:22. And Noah did all that the Lord commanded him. The Lord then said to Noah, "Go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation." Genesis 7:5. And Noah did all that the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the floodwater came on the earth. Genesis 7:7. And Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Noah is alone with the few small plastic animals for which Sophia found her treasures found on the sidewalk. The little bear, the little brown bear, the little brown teddy bear, which was caught deep in the rosemary bush. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Until I pulled the bear out to hide in the sleeve of my gray sweatshirt. The little bear, the little brown bear, the little brown teddy bear, I carried upstairs to my bedroom and gently pulled it out of my gray sweatshirt to gently place in the sink, turning on warm water, not too hot, nor too cold, until the water was just right, like they said in the story of the 3 bears. This bear, for sure, was the little bear, the littlest bear. When the warm water flowed o'er the little bear, little leaves, little broken leaves flowed to the top of the sink. The water changed color from clear to a deep brown. I placed gingerbread soap suds on top of the bear and kept washing the bear, the little teddy bear, and rinsed the bear until the water changed from deep brown to a clear color. I wrung the little bear out and hung it on the tide rack. After a couple hours of errands, I returned to a still wet bear, little teddy bear, which I put out on the back porch to dry in the sun for a couple hours before I finished this poem. The little bear, the little teddy bear is soft with a heart-shaped nose. When I go to get the bear from outside, the birds start to sing. two or three all together, chortle from the sycamore tree, the big sycamore tree in the front yard. On the little bear, the little teddy bear, the nose is the shape of a heart. There is an anchor attached to the nose. The anchor is the mouth, and it is smiling. My little bear, my little teddy bear is clean and soft. I want to take the little bear, the little teddy bear, with me always, like people take their pets with them. This little bear, little teddy bear, is soft. It smells of rosemary, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. I want this little bear, little teddy bear, to be my service bear. This bear, this little bear, this little teddy bear, I promise you, it'll go with me. I thank the Lord above always. I thank the Lord for love, for your guidance. I thank the Lord above, the robins chortle together. I thank the Lord above, the robins chortle together. My cat, meow meow, wanders through. I thank the Lord above for my little bear, my little teddy bear, my little teddy bear, full of love. Thank you.
Melody, thank you. Covering a lot of tonight's themes in your work tonight. Appreciate that. Appreciate you being here. A nice poem. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Round of applause for Melody Anderson Bromides. All right, folks, I'm going to close out the open reading with two poems. The most recent book I have is this one, High Moose Alert, Poems I Wrote 2 summers ago when we visited Alaska, and I've been reading to you from it since it came out last summer. And that was shortly after. I haven't even taken this off my desk since I stopped reading from this one, which was the previous one, the poems I wrote in Italy. And I'm about to go off to Scotland and write a whole other book of poems there. I hope, I think. Hopefully it won't all be about haggis. I guess it's possible. But before we get to that, we need to continue on with some of the poems I haven't read to you from High Moose Alert from Alaska. I wrote this in Denali, the National Park Denali, which is a beautiful place that you should definitely go check out if you have the chance someday, if you haven't already. This was inspired by a visit to the Visitor Center in Denali. It's called Today's Program. 9 a.m. A butterfly will enter your backpack and be with you throughout the day. 11 a.m. A deep dive into moose scat. 12 p.m. Forage for lunch, food not guaranteed. 1:30 p.m. Forest nap, vertical against a birch tree. 3:15 p.m. Write postcards to the aurora borealis. 5 p.m. A bear will eat you. Meet behind the visitor center. All right, that's one of my favorite poems from that book. I am going to now read to you a poem for this week's Torah portion, which I guess goes along with the theme of talking about things from the Old Text. This week's Torah portion is called in Hebrew Korach, which is the name of a guy who was kind of a rebel. His name, translated into English, could mean baldness, ice, hail, or frost, depending on who you ask. The poem is called Korach and the Mutineers. My family is a mutiny of bald people, a long history of the sun shining on the skin on top of our heads. The money we spend on hats is a rebellion. We could start the hair club for Jewish men. Except for Reuben, the first religious school teacher in Syracuse, New York, whose photo I saw in a scrapbook. They didn't have Photoshop in his day, so I know the picture of his full head of Jewish hair is real. Korach was one of the first bald people, a Levite whose family spawned the modern-day Cohens, my mother's maiden name. The ancient priests shaved their heads by law, so Korach's baldness may have been intentional, but evolution has made it inevitable. Our hair itself rebels like Korach and his 250 mutineers. The ground swallowed them up, and now all they have is a great band name, Korach and the Mutineers, live at the whiskey. Discounts for those with receding hairlines. Refreshments provided by the source of life itself. The show starts at 8 p.m. sharp. If you're late, you may not be seated, and the ground will swallow you whole. Okay, there you go. That's some poems from me. Well, we did it, ladies and gentlemen, and ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here, for help closing out this season of Cobalt Poets, I guess could be what we're doing when it coincides with me going off on vacation. I especially want to thank our featured reader, Aaron Tyler Han. I've pasted the stuff in the chat room. Again, you can tip Aaron for his reading via the Venmo link there. Please do that. You can download the broadside for his poem at the Cobalt Poets website link. Next thing I posted there. When there, if you're not already on our email list, click on email list and add your email there. You'll get a couple emails a week letting you know what's happening with Tuesday's reading with a convenient Zoom link. You can also click on calendar when you're on the website to see who's coming up next. As I mentioned earlier, Laura Cresté will be our featured reader in 3 weeks when I get back on July 7th. You can click on the catamaranliteraryreader.com link I posted there to get yourself a copy of Aaron's book, Flood Chaser, and then there is a corrected link to Aaron's website with only one HTTPS. There you go. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to all our open readers. Thanks to Aaron. I hope everyone has a lovely couple of weeks until we get to be together again on July 7th. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Ask All to Unmute button in case y'all want to say hi to each other before we go.
Hi to each other.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Rick, have a great trip.
Have a good 2 weeks.
Thank you all.
Safe travels, Rick.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.